Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of He Said, He Said, He Said, a look at the world from a seasoned Black man's perspective. I'm your host, Alvin King, and welcome to our Friday, November the 22nd live episode. How has everyone been this week? If you're like me, you've been dodging the weather. I tell you, it's been 70, 60, 40, and then today I had to call 311 because it started snowing and I didn't know what to do. I'm telling you, be careful out here because it is definitely pneumonia weather, ladies and gentlemen. And like I said, thank you for joining our show tonight. We have an amazing show for you. Bobby and I have brought back our series, Aging While Black, and our segment is Post-Political Trauma. And we have assembled a panel for thoughtful and open-ended questions to ask intelligent, smart, outspoken, and aware Black gay professional men about their experiences dealing with post-political trauma following the 2024 election and the presidency of Donald J. Trump. The questions that we've selected for our conversation aims to explore their emotional, social, and professional responses designed to foster open dialogue, promote reflection, and create a space, for vulnerability and connection. And that's something that I really do appreciate when I get a group of Black men together. And so we know it's going to be a positive show. Please weigh in, because these brothers, they have something to say. Yesterday in Illinois, the Illinois Supreme Court ruled in favor of Jussie Smollett following an alleged attack and false hate crime in 2019. And if you don't remember, the 42-year-old Empire actor and director was sentenced to 150 days in jail after being convicted of faking a racial and homophobic hate crime. The court ruled that after Cook County State Attorney Kim Foxx dropped charges against the former Empire actor, a special prosecutor should not have been allowed to intervene. As far as I'm concerned, he made a mistake, he paid the price, and he did the time. Leave him alone. You cannot prosecute him again. So I'm saying victory for Jussie. Get your life back because I'm sure this is taking a toll on his career. Okay, you've been waiting for it. And the long-awaited and much-anticipated movie Wicked hits theaters nationwide today. And what I want to talk about with Wicked is that the AMC Theater for Wicked have put out a disclaimer that moviegoers are not allowed to sing along to the Wicked songs at any point during the film. In fact, much like talking, singing of any kind is prohibited inside the theater at all times. So I want to start a little debate, okay? Because me personally, I don't want you singing, dancing, clapping, doing anything of the sort while I'm at a movie that I paid for, the theater, or at a concert unless, who knows, the artist asked everybody to stand up. We don't need the artist singing and then one person in the crowd doing a solo with the artist. So I want to know how you all feel if you all are on here. How do you feel about people singing in a theater or at a concert or, at a movie when you're there? But AMC said we're not having it. And last, before I go on this, AMC is even doing a special theater screening for anybody who wants to sing. I just think it's ridiculous. Stop. You don't need to do it. I don't care how much fun it is. There's no time for that. Again, welcome to our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And last but not least, it is American Diabetes Awareness Month. Diabetes is a serious medical condition that affects millions of Americans. It's estimated that 1 in 10 Americans have diabetes, and many people don't even know it. So please, 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 please stay in touch with your health and make sure that you get checked for diabetes. You can go to www.diabetes.org if you want to find out more information. All right, like I said, we have an action-packed show for you tonight, and I can't do what I do without this guy who's been here. Ladies and gentlemen, if you all are ready, let's get on with the chat. Hey, Bobby.
Good evening, my brother. How are you?
I can't complain. Happy fall to you, my friend.
Fall? It was a snowy day here in DC.
It was a snowy day. Wait a a minute, Bobby, do you see what's happening on this screen? I think it's our guest because look, we got Michelle Sims is here. We got Pauline Crump is here. Monica is here. Wendell Stevens from New York is here.
Meech early in, I said, yeah, everybody, yeah.
Thank you all for joining us tonight. Thank you. Oh,
everybody, yeah.
Raw Health, Kendall is here. Thank you all for Thank you all for joining us. Bobby, thank you. Good to see you. Good to see
you as well. And as you said, we've got an action-packed show tonight. We've got some incredible panelists that we're going to be hearing from soon. But we do want to get started with the chat.
I'm ready.
So I want to begin with, my bestie Michi always treats me annually to the treat of seeing Alvin Ailey here at the Kennedy Center, the Alvin Ailey Dance Theater. And so many of us are brokenhearted upon the news of hearing of the death of Judith Jamison at the age of 81, former dancer, choreographer, and artistic director of Alvin Ailey Dance Theater. Judith began early with Alvin Ailey and was somewhat of his muse. She broke kind of stereotype records. She was only 5'10". She was an African-American woman who embodied her short hair and is best known for this performance that's on the screen right now, Cry, the dance Cry. She was 81 years old. She died in Manhattan. And I just want to say that her legacy of creative genius will live long with us. We salute the artistic genius of Judith Jamison.
Amen. And Bobby, this is so timely because just last night, the Alvin Ailey Dance Theater announced that their new the Board of Trustees for the Alvin Ailey Dance Theater has appointed the renowned Alicia Graf Mock to serve as Ailey's new artistic director beginning July the 1st, 2025. And the announcement of Miss Graf Mock's appointment, of course, follows the recent death of artistic director emerita Judith Jamison, whose legacy will be celebrated throughout the upcoming season of Alvin Ailey Dance Theater. So rest well, Miss Jamison, but we hear that someone will step into her shoes that they say is very deserving. So
the torch has been passed.
Congratulations. Also in the entertainment field, for those of you who watch boxing, I don't, but last week seemed to have been a very, very interesting week for boxing. Mike Tyson stepped back in the ring, and at 58 years old, I just want to say, this man is smart. At 58 years old, he bagged $20 million for a 16-minute fight against someone who was 31 years his younger. And for those of you who are mathematicians, that's 1.25 million per minute. So that he got for doing that fight. So if you all think he's crazy, he is not. He is a genius stacking cash. Okay, so he lost the fight, but Mike Tyson didn't go away empty-handed. So I just want to say,
a million, that's not bad.
Not bad. Can I tell you 1.25 million per minute?
Wow.
How about that? And I'm sorry, go ahead, Bobby. You were going to say something.
I was going to say, how about that? Okay, so obviously, we know that it is the holiday season approaching us. Obviously, Thanksgiving is coming up. But for many, they got a Christmas gift a little early. The news has been shared that Queen Bee, Beyonce, will deliver a halftime concert on Christmas Day. Cowboy Carter, a song from Cowboy Carter, will be performed during halftime NFL game between the Houston Texans and the Baltimore Ravens. Okay, now you guys know I'm on a little bit of a boycott here of the NFL, but I will probably watch that show, that halftime show. It will be streamed on Netflix as well at 4:30 that afternoon. So even though she did not get that one nomination during the Country Music Awards, Beyonce is doing quite well and continuing to be none other than Beyonce. So again, halftime, Houston Texans, Baltimore Ravens, Christmas, 4:30, also streaming on Netflix. Cowboy Carter, the Queen Bee, continues to reign.
Oh, it's a boss move all the way around as far as I'm concerned, because not only is she performing on Christmas Day, as you said. It is being produced by her company, Parkwood Entertainment and Jesse Collins Entertainment.
So she is making a little bank around this.
You don't get paid for doing Super Bowl. Okay, I hear that the artists don't get paid, but she's getting paid for doing this halftime show, and Netflix is helping her get there. So again, another boss move by an African American artist, one who I love. Again, making boss moves. So, Bobby. So are you ready for this show tonight, Bobby? Because
I am ready to hear from these gentlemen.
We've been anticipating this. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all. Some of you who are watching this show have asked us, when are we bringing back our series, Aging While Black? And, we're here. And our guests tonight, I'm ready to introduce them. They are so dynamic. So if you all are ready, I'm going to go ahead and introduce them. All right, Bobby, you ready?
Let's go.
Okay. Dr. Art Fields is a native New Yorker and a proud member of the Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. He obtained his Bachelor of Science degree at Bowie State, his Master of Social Work from Howard University, and in 2006 received a Doctor of Philosophy degree from Capella University. Dr. Fields is the author of I Respect Difference, and I'm telling you, I love this book. Okay, I love this book. So I'm glad he's on the show tonight. Our next guest, Cory George, is a nationally recognized mental health and trauma expert, award-winning television personality, author, multimedia producer, whose work has been featured on Fox, CBS, NBC, and HuffPost Live, as well as being a featured interventionist on the A&E original series Digital Addiction. George is a published author of 2 books, Sit and Stand, and Sit or Stand 2.0, Living Successfully. George is also the recipient of the 2023 U.S. Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award for volunteerism. Our next guest is a special friend of mine, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm so glad his schedule opened up for me. Kevin Reynolds is the Adjunct Professor at American University. Kevin, thank you for being with us tonight. And last, but certainly not least, Shawn Nelson, Commissioner-elect, independent journalist, D.C. government employee in the Office of the Chief Financial Officer and Family Historian. He is the host of his own podcast, The Offshoot. I'm going to put that link in here, The Offshoot, and I want you all to check him out. But ladies and gentlemen, if you all are ready, please welcome to our panel tonight, Dr. Art Fields, Cory George, Kevin Reynolds, and Shawn Nelson.
They just keep coming in, multiplying.
They just keep.
Yeah, look at that.
Thank you guys for being here tonight. Thank you. I appreciate you. But before I get on, let me say hello to some folks that are probably here because you all are gracing us tonight. Michael Harrell, thank you for joining us. Maurice Scott, Daryl Webb, my brother, haven't seen you since last Christmas. Thank you for being here. Michelle Sims, Michelle Bowie, all of you, thank you for being here tonight for this conversation. It really does mean a lot. Thank you. So we're going to go ahead and get started because we want to kick this off and keep it going. And again, act like you're in my living room right here. We'll have this conversation. So let's get on with it, Bobby.
Okay, we're going to start actually from what was ultimately seen as a pivotal moment in this election cycle. The moment when it was deemed that Kamala Harris would indeed be the presidential nominee for the Democratic Party. This one goes to everybody. Just sharing some of your initial thoughts or emotions when you heard the news that Joe Biden was stepping down and Kamala Harris was going to be the nominee.
Shawn, let's hear from you.
All right. Okay. So, well, I would have to start from about a year ago because about a year ago, I called California. I called the office of Governor Gavin Newsom, and I said to his office, if Mr. Newsom decides to run for president, I want to work on his campaign. So, of course, as you know, he did not run for president, and that's because Joe Biden stayed in, and then they nominated Kamala Harris for the top of the ticket, and all I could think was 1968, and history repeating itself. So I was very happy that Kamala Harris got the top of the ticket, but the way it came about, it just didn't quite feel right. And so I did get behind her. I made donations, I campaigned, but history was repeating itself. 1968, we saw what happened. LBJ resigned, Nixon won, and then 6 years later, he had to resign because of his crime.
That's right.
Thank you. Cory?
Just to keep it simple, I was proud. I haven't been raised by Southern Black women. Back in Louisiana, they made the best decisions for our family. So I feel proud. Whether she won or not, I already knew the odds were stacked against her because fear will bring out the worst in people. So I already knew. I had just gotten word. I said, oh, it's wonderful, but I could hold the same perspective that it's going to be a long haul. And that's how I felt about it.
How about you, Kevin?
I was excited. I was very happy. But at the same time, I said, how is she going to be able to pull this off in 90 days? Election day is November 5th. How is this going to happen? Then I thought, it would have been nice if she could have done this a year ago or at least 9 months into this. But I think she did an incredible job in 107 days in raising $1.5 billion. It was just amazing to see the support, all of the star power in everybody that I know, even people who had not voted since Obama in 2008. There were people saying to me, Kevin, I am definitely going to vote. I want to make sure I am behind this sister. She's more than qualified. That's an understatement. And for me personally, I don't think she really had enough time to really let people know, even though people always say, well, we really don't know her and we really need to get to know her. But man, she went everywhere that everybody asked her to go. She was she was everywhere and then some. So, yeah.
Thank you.
That's it for me. Yes.
How about you, Art?
I would pretty much piggyback of what most people have said. I was hopeful and initially optimistic, but then I started hearing all the what has she done, or folks using social media to get information about what they believe she had done specifically to Black men. And I got sick of hearing that rhetoric. Then I moved to fearful, because what we potentially ended up with was very scary for me. And I actually started working on getting my Canadian passport, because I'm not saying that lightly, because the only reason I'm staying in the United States is because I just can't leave my mama here, and she ain't ready to move to Canada. Because if it were not for that, I would absolutely leave the United States, because we have regressed immensely over the last 10 years, where it's getting quite scary. And it's emboldening for folks on the other side, and I don't mean red, who believe that they can say, do, and all kinds of things, that this is not 1938 and I am not my grandfather. Okay. So it's a frightening time of what might be ahead of us.
Indeed. Thank you. Bobby, I want to ask you, because I want to make sure that our viewers hear all of the perspectives. So if you could just, tell us how, what were your initial thoughts when Vice President Harris when it was announced that she would be the presidential nominee?
Well, very quickly, I think the gentlemen have done a fine job of really kind of summarizing that broad range of emotion that we all felt. Like Kevin was saying, I'm not here for anybody saying, well, she should have done this or could have done this. What she accomplished in that short period of time was absolutely unbelievable. The momentum, the many organizations, the phone calls, women for Kamala, men for Kamala, gay men for Kamala, white Republicans for Kamala. Like, people with two heads for Kamala. Like, everybody was like, raising money. But as you were saying, the star power, all of it, I think it was phenomenal what was accomplished. But it was also then, as Art was saying, starting to hear people say things that reminded us that America can America when it wants to. And the misogyny, the combination of both misogyny and race, as much as we have progressed, reared its ugly head. To hear women say that we just don't think a woman should be a president. I'm sitting there going like, wait, what?
Right.
And the fact that the person who won, I say his name very rarely, has run 3 times, won twice, and both times he won, it was against a woman. It said a lot to me, so much more to me about America than it did about either.
Exactly.
Well, I just, I'm just going to briefly say I did not, when it was announced that she was going to run for the presidential nomination, I wasn't sold on it in the beginning, but I can say what she came in and what she did gave me hope. And that was something that I needed to get out of the slump that I was in. And she came on and her team did a phenomenal job. So kudos to her. As I said last week, I read a thank you note to her from He Said Live. And, may the force be with us now where we are. All right, so let's get on with the show, ladies and gentlemen. Guys, we have broken some of our conversation down into segments. So this first group of questions we're calling it professional life. And I'm going to direct this question to Shawn and Kevin. And of course, Art and Cory, feel free if you want to say something, but I'm directing it to them. In what ways has the political climate affected your professional environment or interactions at work?
Kevin, you can go right ahead. Sorry.
All right, Kevin, you got a minute or so. Come on, how has it affected that?
Yes. No, immediately when you asked that question, I thought about something that happened the day after, 2 days after the election, which was the 7th of November. Mm-hmm. And we were sitting and we were about to have a meeting, and something was said to me. Yes, this is white woman that I work with, and I love Sarah, I really do. I mean, I think she's a great person. But she said something, and she said, well, I'm really sad that, Kamala Harris, did not win. I really wanted her to win, and I was really rooting for her. She says, but I also heard something from one of our colleagues about how you men talk about us when we're not around. So in my head, I'm saying, Kevin, don't say it, Kevin, don't say it, Kevin, don't say it. And I said this 5 times. And then I said, well, Sarah, I love you. However, we as Black men, we do not talk about women. It is white men who talk very badly about white women as well as everybody else. I said, we as Black men, we revere our women. Our women have made me what I am today. I came from a 2-parent household, but, my father was always either at the hospital or his private practice. So my mother was the one that was the disciplinarian, and she really carried the torch for all 13 of us. Yes, I come from a family of 13 siblings. My parents had 13 kids. So she looked really startled, and everybody else that was in the meeting got very quiet. You could hear a pin drop. And people actually started leaving. And when the meeting was over, I asked them, why did they leave? And they said, because they really did not know how to react to what I actually just said. And then some of them actually said, that's really true, how white men really talk about women, and they talk about everybody. So
it's amazing how truth can clear a room. How about you, Shawn?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Well, I had been telling everyone in the office, outside the office, that Harris was going to win by a landslide. I was looking at everything, reading everything, and I was excited. And so I was behind her 100%. So I did not stay up to watch the returns come in. I was thinking that, okay, we won't have anything until maybe that Thursday or that Friday. And then, of course, the next day, what I realized was that everyone on both sides of the aisles and in between were wrong. Democrats were wrong. Democrats were wrong. Independents were wrong. We all got it wrong. And so I was somewhat shocked. I literally told one person in our executive team that we should have had the day off. I don't want to come to work today. So what I did to get through the process was I cut everything off. No YouTube, I canceled the Washington Post subscription. I canceled Netflix. I canceled Amazon. I canceled it all. So I literally have not listened to anything, read anything since November 5th in terms of political news.
Wow. Thank you, Shawn.
I just want to jump in there. I had a similar response to Shawn. And I actually canceled every appointment I had with my patients that I see for therapy because I knew I just would not be the best therapist they should sit in front of that day. And I did not go back to practicing till the following week because I was in a slump. I'm not a depressed type of person, you know. I just don't really normally get depressed. You know, I'm good at like self-talk and putting on an outfit and, you know, putting on some good cologne and taking myself on a date and all those things I felt sometimes not doing. But I just couldn't pull myself together. I was in literally a state of shock. And I think it was a combination of her loss, because like Shawn, I was like, we got this. You know, I don't need to watch this. I'm just going to get up in the morning and pop bottles. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so it was also the revelation of what this country, how this country really thinks about us as a people. And when I actually finally did return to work, because I work 1.5 jobs, okay, to my job where I have to engage folks that don't necessarily look like me, I'm side-eyeing, you know, because I literally want to see your voting card before I have a conversation with you, you know, and that wasn't limited to people that may not look like me. Like, I want to know what you did got in the booth, because I'm having a very hard time. I'm at a place now, I'm going to say this, I'm going to change my very hard time. I'm at a place now where, and I'm trying to pull myself out of it, like, I don't want to provide any support to people who did not vote appropriately, because I feel like if you could, I take voting for Trump personally, and this is the first time I've said his name since the election. To me, if you voted with him, you voted against every single thing I believe in. And we literally have nothing in common. And I don't care if we're blood connected or connected through profession, or occasionally we enjoy coffee. We literally have nothing in common, because you dislike me in my mind. So I feel like it's just that serious, because the attributes and lack of attributes are so different. I mean, we're not talking like back in the day when Republicans, I could have actually told the line. There were times in life where I was like, oh, that makes sense. You know, I like my money, bro. You know, I was like, who knows? You know, more this or that. But this is extremist. So when I think about people who voted potentially for Trump, I think of them, and I don't like to use words like this, but they have to be my enemy of sorts. You know, we're different.
Okay.
Well, clearly some of our listeners are sharing some very comparable feelings and concerns. Rodney talked about how he pulled himself away, and others, he stayed to himself because he literally felt traumatized, etc. So we've talked about the climate and so forth. Cory and Art, I'm going to ask you, did you guys ever have to really kind of address almost kind of like the explaining of kind of like the political trauma that we are experiencing right now? Because there's one thing kind of responding to people's words and so forth, but did you find yourself in any situation really kind of having to explain the political trauma of that we were feeling?
I was on Wednesday, that next day. It took me a while just to get out of bed, and I didn't check my phone. I didn't want to see results because my spirit already knew. Being an empath is not very, very great. And I went outside to check the mailbox. I had to walk across the parking lot, and I could feel the dismay in the oxygen. I literally felt it. I was like, I'm going back inside. Literally stayed in the house. And I had to facilitate this trauma group with all LGBTQ white men and women. And when I tell you, I was trying to dispense what I was supposed to do, but I just turned it into a processing group. We had married women who were scared that if they reverse the same-sex marriage thing, that now everything is, it doesn't count. Trans women and trans men in the group that were worried about them just being trans. So not only are you gay, but you're trans. And I have a trans daughter, so that was hard for me. So holding space, I had to find ways, like Art said, to try to get something out, because I'm a container, and sometimes it's not great because I have to kind of just, it got heavy, and I did 2 groups and I got silent. So I don't know if it's explaining the trauma, but it's understanding why it exists.
Mhm.
It's having the compassion. Say, I get it, because every single identity that we choose to identify with is prone to experiencing trauma. But let's say that you have 5 of those identities, and they can all experience trauma in different ways. Then the combination is in the millions of different experiences that drives your fear. And now we have these new anxieties, and they started way before the vote, because if your brain just has a perception of fear, that sets off the whole thing. So it's not that something factually has happened yet. They are scared about what will happen because they voiced it and they've said it. So these are not things that they're making up. So these policies that they're trying to do and all these plans and everything, they know what these are. So it's a factual and it's a real concern.
So let me take a moment. I'm going to go through some of our viewers have been very vocal. I'm going to start with the raw health. He said, I'm not triggered by what is happening because it's just a repeat of the Ronald Reagan administration. Reagan, Trump are both actors and seekers of public notoriety. Maurice, I think Bobby read his, but he said it didn't help that her opponent had been running a campaign for almost 10 years that played on the fears and insecurities of a number of individuals, and a lot of Americans operate based off that fear. Rodney E. from Philadelphia said, I withdrew. I stayed to myself because I was literally traumatized. Michelle Sims says, are we really surprised by this? Was there something in the back of your minds that perhaps made anyone think that this man would win again? I'm more hurt with the thousands that didn't vote at all. I'm with you on that, Michelle. And Raw Health said, I have conservative, pragmatic views, but there were never a time I even considered not voting for Harris. Thank you guys for saying that. Let me see. This is bigger than I thought tonight. To be honest with you,
we got a lot of questions, and we've got to do it just a few of them.
We just got through 2 of them, and you all are making it happen. So look, Art, did you want to weigh in on if you found it necessary to address political trauma in professors?
I'll keep. Well, my personality is not one where I'm going to respond to something that could potentially do harm to me. I'm not into self-harming in any way, be it emotionally or any other way. So I maneuvered, dipped and dodged in a way to ensure that I would not have to explain, So that's my best answer on that.
Self-care.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I know that, in what you all have been saying, you're definitely telling us how you feel, but I want to talk about your emotional and mental well-being, if I can. How has the political climate, if you could put it into a few words, how has the political climate of this election impacted your mental and emotional health? And this is for everybody. So let me start out with Shawn, because I haven't heard from him.
Yes.
Yeah, I tell you. So I've been in therapy for about 5 years. So I knew that I can go to my therapist, and I did. I literally went to my therapist on that Thursday after the election, and I ranted. I literally just let him have it, and it helped me to get through the whole process. And I am still somewhat traumatized. Let me tell you how traumatized I am. I was really, let me say it this way. I'm a big fan of Janet Jackson, huge. But when she made that comment about Kamala Harris in The Guardian, I cut her off.
Oh, wow.
I really have not listened to any of her music since then.
Amen.
And so maybe one day I'll get back to it, because I do like to run and get in the gym and listen to her music. But as for right now, she's off limits because she perpetuated a lie.
It was careless.
It's the same thing that happened in 1968. LBJ did a lot for the Black community. Civil rights. He did a lot. But the Republicans used that same tactic that in 1968 against LBJ that they did with Donald Trump. I hate to say his name, but learning that history helped me to get over my trauma in conjunction with going to therapy.
To deal with it. So, Kevin, how about you, Kevin? How has it impacted your mental and emotional health?
I have a very good support system, family, friends. There's one of my professors from my PhD program, Dr. Garner, who I talk to all the time. And he listens to what I have to say, because it's not so much of me that I'm worried about. I'm worried about other people who cannot speak for themselves, who cannot really advocate for themselves. And I want to be able to have the tools and the right things to say to them when they ask me certain questions. But as I already knew this, but I needed to hear this from him, and his partner. No one really has the right answers. As you said, Kevin, we need to take one day at a time. And that's what I've always done with everything. And, in my heart of hearts, I knew he was going to win, but I was hopeful. And I was and I was praying. And I even shedded some tears over the fact that I knew in my heart of hearts that she was not going to win. And that really hurt. It really hurt right here. But
How about you, Cory? Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah.
I'm sorry,
No,
Kevin. I
no,
didn't mean to
no,
cut you off.
no. I was done. I was going to say something, but no. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
Go ahead. You go ahead and finish.
no, I was
Well,
just going to say that it is just important for people to stay focused, get the help that you need. Surround yourself with like-minded people. Surround yourself with people that really care about you. I hear people talk about, uh, you know, family and their village, but just know that everybody in your village is not always looking out for your best interest.
Absolutely.
ooh, that's another talk show.
It really is.
It really is, and something that kind of Art. I'm gonna come to you for a minute, Art, because that's something you alluded to when we were talking backstage, talking about Facebook and things not being real. So, how has this election impacted your mental and emotional health?
I think for me, I've ensured that I'm in a protective space, and it's kind of similar to what Kevin said. I'm around. I do have a great village of friends and family that are friends. That combination of Black folks. If we knew you over 8 years, you a cousin. So I happen to have some really good, intelligent cousins, and have some amazing friends. I'm blessed to have amazing friends under the old definition of friends that your parents tested quite often to tell you that is your friend. So they made sure the bar was high for a friend. So I maintained that parental
Thank
bar
you.
when I friend selection. But I make sure to do that. And like Shawn, I've avoided, like, I'm on social media, throw a picture on because it was my birthday, pop off. I read nothing because it's exhausting, and I really become very exhausting. And I was a news fanatic. I was the person that would have MSNBC in one room, CNN in another, and I even watch Fox, because you have to know what those folks are saying on Fox.
Yes, you do.
It's not good to dodge it. You got to know what they're saying, and you understand what you're dealing with. If you watch enough Fox, you get them. So I've avoided all of that because I know it's not good for me. So self-preservation at the highest level.
And Cory, I know you take care of your mental and emotional health, but I want to hear from you on this. I know you do.
I checked out of the election process like a while before I voted. Being honest with myself, being a victim and survivor practitioner, and now I study trauma, I'm already primed for being affected by it. So when you have a self-awareness and knowing, that's why I tell clients, fear of missing out will hurt you. I'm not missing out on misinformation and disinformation. I had to limit my conversations about it, because for me, in the space that I sit, this is not the worst that our culture has gone through, but it's just an indicator that nothing has really changed. It's just the systems that are in place have changed. And that's what I talk about, and that's why the folks in my in the groups I run are crying, because they understand the effect of the trauma that comes down in systems. So it's not always obvious, but it's in policies. It's in laws. So even though we don't share the same race, but being a part of, let's say I'm trans and you're trans, and we are together. So one thing that I've been saying, is we can now have a new collective of everyone who's against it. And that is a larger number of people. That is a large number. It's not just Black, it's not just white, it's not just men, it's not just women. We are a single portion of people that are disgruntled towards one thing. So that makes us a whole collective. So we can use this opportunity, although we are all hurt and upset. How does that galvanize unity now? Because we all have the same grievance. Even though we may be affected by the systems in different ways, we are all affected. So that's what I can get out of that, is how do we galvanize that same complaint and we become a larger group?
I'm gonna go down to a segment that, because we're gonna move through the conversation, identity and intersectionality, and I'm gonna ask Kevin and Art, how do you think your identity as a Black gay man has shaped your perception of and response to the political events of the past few years? And I can repeat that if you want me to.
No.
I can't. Yeah, no, seriously, because you have no idea. I've answered it before I asked you. So, but this is about y'all tonight. Okay,
Right.
So how do you think your identity as a Black gay man has shaped your perception of and response to the political events of the past few years?
From a personal perspective, the only thing I really think about is marriage and what would that look like as it relates to marriage equality. If I think about myself personally, the way I move in my life, I could technically move through life as I'm a masculine presenting Black gay man, so not a lot could change for me, unless I do. But I want to get married, and I wonder about stuff like that, like how would it impact marriage, and if my partner were to get sick, because that's to me the big thing about marriage. Like if your partner gets sick, all of your money, how does that work? Because I'm from a generation of, I remember a good friend, they were together for 20 something years. He passed away. The family came through, swooped up in the house, took everything, had security at the funeral so that the partner couldn't even come to the funeral. And this is not an exaggeration. They had security at the front door.
I've experienced. I've seen it.
He couldn't even be special friend. And this man had given his life to this brother for over about 25 years. I'll never forget that. And this was way before marriage was legal for, same gender loving men. But I knew then there had to be something. In my head, I said, we need to go to a lawyer if I be with somebody long enough, because marriage wasn't something you could conceptualize back then. But now that marriage is something, I'm a proponent for marriage. And, if I spit on you long enough, we're going down to the court. You
better go ahead. All right, you better go ahead and say, you know what? I'm going to let Kevin, if you want to weigh in, you go ahead. I'm going to let him stay right there. Because I love it. He went to the cliff and he did that thing I love. He went to the cliff, but he didn't jump. And so, I love that. So, Kevin, did you want to weigh in on this? Did you have something that you want to say real quick?
I don't. Hard act to follow.
What I was going to say is what has changed for me in thinking, what I worry about a lot is, the elderly, the youth, the trans community, the LGBTQIA plus community. I have 3 cousins who are trans, who I think about that, all the time. What's really going to happen now? The minute when I woke up on Wednesday and I knew that he was president-elect, number 47. I immediately started thinking about all these things. And then I said, well, elderly, Kevin, in 3 months, you'll be 66 yourself. So you're right. You're a senior citizen. And going back to what Art said about, the families coming in and taking over. I remember I had a friend from when I was an undergrad at American University, how his lover was dying, and he says, Kevin, the family is going to come and just take, I know within the next 3 to 6 months, they're going to come and just take everything. And the 20 years that we've been together, it's not going to mean anything. I said, well, I know someone that you can go and talk to. Her name is Mandy Moore. She's an attorney. Let her be the power of attorney. And that way, the family can't say a word.
Amen. Amen.
Mhm.
And I've told so many people that, and even today, people are still doing that because they said, yes, Kevin, we're married. But what you just told me is very simplistic. It makes so much sense.
I lived
So,
through it all.
so your what you all have been speaking to raises a question of how one responds in times such as these, in terms of vulnerability in one direction, empowerment in another. You know, sometimes you can equip yourself. Something like this can trigger in you the capacity to fight, or sometimes it can shut you down. So I'm interested for Shawn and Cory to really kind of share kind of how they're navigating the vulnerability versus the empowerment during these times.
Cool. I can start because I had put a delay on some of my studies because I was burned out. I'm raising kids and working, and I said I need a break. But literally Wednesday was rough. Thursday, I called school. I said I'll be back in January.
Mm-hmm.
The best I can do is to contribute. I'm not the only one doing what I do, but we need more of us, more of me, more of art, and more notice to Black men in the mental health game, because I found that a lot of Black men are prone to talking if we look like them or we're more familiar. So we need the notice or the explosion of us, because we're there. There's a ton of us there, but I hear often, well, I can't find, no, why not? So as what I've learned is that the can't find is the excuse for low help seeking skills. So instead of admitting that you're afraid to find out, it's easier for a man to say, I can't, because that whole afraid thing is more the ego thing, and it's not good for you. So you'd rather say, I can't find it. Sound like you found me by going to Google and typing Black male therapist in Maryland. Just one phrase. Boom, we're here. So that's why we have to still push real information, because we still have a lot of disinformation that we have to combat. So that's where the empowerment is. Yes, I don't feel good about it, but when I don't feel good about something, I got to use that energy in the opposite direction. So I don't feel good, and I'm not going to let someone let me feel bad, because I'm not a kid anymore, you know? So that's how I deal with it.
Shawn?
Yeah, so vulnerability is a very challenging, difficult thing for a lot of us because it requires trusting someone who may not be there for you. But when you are able to be vulnerable, I think, at least in my case, it gives me clarity. It gave me clarity. And it helped me to move forward in terms of how to navigate this, how to navigate that. So I don't think it was a coincidence that I decided to run for commissioner in my ward in Washington, D.C. at the same time that things were going on in this political season. And I did it because people were asking, they wanted someone to, I guess, be more visible or transparency. I mean, the current commissioner, she's good and everything, but it was time for a change. And for me, I kind of dug in. So I heard Art earlier talk about if he could, he would leave the country. And I've heard that from quite a few people. But my thing is, I'm ready to fight. I'm more ready to fight now more than ever. I'm ready to dig in and say, no, we're not going back. Okay, no, we are going to continue to move forward. Okay, and you do not know what's going on with the entire Black community, because we're not monolithic in any way. So to Cory's point, we do have to be more visible. So people see us, and then we're more visible. They'll see that, okay, all right, this person is not someone they can mess with, or they have a collective behind them. So I think if we have more of this, like in this group of us, all these intelligent men on this group chat, okay, you will never see this on national media, okay? And they don't want to see this on national media because they have an agenda, and that agenda does not include us.
Yes.
So,
that's why they need to tune into He Said, He Said, He Said. So, Commissioner-elect, we also want to congratulate you on being
congrats.
Congratulations. Yes.
And it reminds us, as you were talking about the notion of fighting, it leads to the next question that I have for you, both you and let's see, who did I was going to? Shawn and Cory. Yes, I want to put them to ask them. So what are we looking for then in our political leaders and local government to support the Black LGBTQ community in particular, knowing that as was mentioned earlier, given this our intersectionality, we are vulnerable in multiple ways. So what are we looking for in those political leaders, community leaders, to support this community?
Please let me say something on this issue, because I thought about this a great deal. You know who I blame more than anything regarding what happened with this election? And I don't want to offend anyone, but I blame baby boomers. They are holding on to power. They do not want to leave. They are dying in the office, literally, and they're costing us. They're costing us our future. They're costing my nieces and nephews their future, and I don't like it, which is why I'm fighting.
No.
So that's who I blame. And so again, Bobby, I'm give my thoughts, but before you say something, because I can go on.
But you're also acting. You wanted to see a change, and you ran, and you've been elected. So stepping up is also something, I'm assuming that.
Yeah, we got to take her from. Again, I don't want to offend anyone. We got to kick these baby boomers out. Again, that's why I called Gavin Newsom a year ago. I said, run. Okay. Kamala Harris, she's 59 years of age, a young woman. Okay. So give her opportunity.
Yep.
Right. Biden should have left more than a year ago.
Absolutely. Cory, how about you?
I'll say quickly. Well, first, I think that Kamala stoked fear, because although we feel the Black woman is the most mistreated, it's only because they know she has the power. Because a Black woman knows how to treat people. They've been taught to nurture in most cases. They will con Putin out of office if they could. They will massage his shoulder and say, "Baby, what is you really doing here? Like, what are we doing?" Private calls. What is that? Boo. What? So they don't want that, because they know that that's possible. They know. There's been a lot of white men humbled by Black women in Congress, so they know the power, and they know they'll speak up. So that was one thing. But I say just listen. Take the data and the information that you learn about those communities, and they have to make decisions as, do I honor those constituents that may not be like us, who have the dollars, or am I going to be a true servant of the public? And that's and for some of them, that's a hard line to toe, because I got to keep these folks happy so I can have enough money so I can run again. So I'm worried about the motive of it all and why you're doing it. Because if you're going to help us, then let someone like me do the research in the mental health area, in this area, and then offer you the information so you can use real facts instead of using your whole emotions because you don't want to upset a certain group of people. So that's what I want to say, is if you're going to, stand for us, stand for us.
Stand for us. Amen.
Be who you are. Well, I'm because of time, ladies and gentlemen. Look, I could go on. We need an hour and a half show, but I'm down to my last question. We're down to our last question, and I'm posing this to Art and Kevin. But if Cory and Shawn want to weigh in, it would be some good closing if you have something to say. What advice would you give to others who may be struggling to process or move forward during this climate?
And hopefully this won't be offensive, but I do strongly recommend prayer. I recommend meditation. I recommend self-care.
Yes.
I recommend becoming an advocate, becoming more vocal. Since I am staying here, to Shawn's point, I'm not leaving yet, Shawn. I gotta get.
Mama ain't leaving, so you ain't leaving.
I gotta get motivated, and also to Shawn's point, I do think we need a lot more of these discussions, whether on a podcast or in person. We're gonna have to form hubs of people who are like-minded, who can support each other through what is imminent to be coming. It's not whether it's coming; it's coming. So we're gonna have to be prepared, and we need to now start working defense already. We should already be getting together in hubs so that we can be prepared by January 20th, because it's
coming.
It's coming. It's
Buckle up.
coming. It's coming. Kevin, what advice would you give to others who may be struggling to process and move forward? Sorry, my man. I just want to make sure you heard.
No worries. Everything that Art said, I was going to say, prayer, definite, meditation. I meditate every day and have been for decades. It keeps me focused. It has part of who I am today, and I would also say continue to fight, continue to be the person that you are. Never let anyone tell you that you can't do something, that you cannot be a part of something. Don't be so quick to give up. I remember going way back, into the late 80s when I was a part of ACT UP and, getting locked up, when people were dying from HIV, So just don't give up. Art said it best. Continue to be an activist or start being an activist.
Amen.
It makes a difference. And Bobby, that's probably Bobby's first time ever hearing me saying that I was a part of ACT UP and that I got locked up 3 times.
But am I surprised?
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of our show, and I just want to take this opportunity to thank all of our guests, each and every last one of you, for, first of all, not saying no to me. You guys said yes right off the bat, and I just want you to know you have blessed me tonight. And you have made me a better person because you showed up when he said. So I want to thank all of you tonight for that. Yeah. I want to thank our viewers for checking in and staying with us and participating. Okay. And participating. Look, next week we will be back with a brand new show. We will be honoring World AIDS Day 2024. And we have a special guest with us, the Honorable Dr. Maurice O'Brien Franklin, Public Policy and Public Administration Adjunct Professor at California State University, Northridge. He will be with us next week. And this brother is also another dynamic brother. Our words of the week this week that we're sending to all of you, thanks to Bobby. Some believe it is only great power that can hold evil in check, but that is not what I found. It is the small, everyday deeds of ordinary folk that keep the darkness at bay. Small acts of kindness and love. And I want to say again to each of you, I hope that everybody pulls something from this conversation tonight. Getting my Black brothers together and being in one computer. It makes together. And Art has encouraged me to try to take something like this on the road, and I'm going to do it because I know that if you said it, it should be done. So we're definitely working on that. But thank you, everybody, for joining in. We look forward to seeing you
on you guys.
A new episode of He Said.
He said.
All of y'all can say he said.
He said.
Y'all have a good night and a good weekend. Take care, everybody. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Great show, guys.
Wow, this is really good because